Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We are recording this after the Capitals finished their road trip West Coast, 5 out of a possible 8 points against the Ducks, Sharks, Kings, and the Seattle Kraken. Karl, your thoughts on the road trip and kind of the Capitals' results out there with a bunch of injuries mixed in?
Yeah, you know, it wasn't too bad. Like we had talked about last time, it's a pretty tough road trip going out to California, and
Yep.
a lot of factors. Obviously, the travel, time change, you got the weather that kind of plays into it, where you want to get outside and enjoy that, and some notoriously pretty tough competition. And this year, I guess a little bit of a mixed bag with the teams there, but getting 5 of 8 points, I think it is pretty solid. Overtime, taking Anaheim to overtime, and they've probably the best team of the bunch. So having a pretty good game there to start it all off, and then 2 shutouts mixed in. That's nice. That anytime you win a game with a shutout, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then going into Seattle, obviously it's sweet because it's your first time playing in that building. You want to see what the city's like and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I would say that probably, I don't know, maybe the weakest competition of the 4 games that they're playing. So it's sometimes you play down to that level, and then of course here we go, Mr. Grubauer has something to prove against the Caps, and he does his thing. So overall, I think you're pretty happy with that road trip, and it being as tough as it is. And what is it, also 7 games in 11 days or something like that? Like, these guys are just being worked right now. So I think you're going home with a pretty happy mind after that.
Yeah, and I think the Seattle loss was almost a schedule loss because you just had, you mentioned this, you got 7 games in 11 days, all that travel. It's the second half of a back-to-back. Like, for them, like, I almost throw that loss out to Seattle based on just the circumstances.
Yeah, you can do that, but then you can look at it this way, where we talk about there's the teams that you need to beat, and at this point, Seattle's one of those teams that you need to beat, regardless of what kind of schedule you have against you. But you are right. It's at that point, your body's so broken down, your mind is a little bit out of it. You're just you're thinking about getting on that plane the next day and getting home to your family and stuff. So it's definitely a mental and physical battle. But when it comes down to it, you really want to do your best to beat those teams you're supposed to beat, because you're assuming all the other teams are doing the same.
Yeah, and TJ Oshie, what a shame about this. I know he was able to battle back and play in San Jose on Saturday night, but how much does it stink that he wasn't able to get that game in Seattle?
Yeah, you know what? It stinks a lot, because you have to assume that that he was probably going to come back for that game against Seattle, and it would have been nice to have him in the game before, just so it wasn't his first game back in front of some family and friends and all that. But it's just brutal how that works, and we're all hoping that he's going to be playing a little bit more regularly now, because I think he was starting off season pretty good. So yeah, it sucks big time. You want to always play in front of your friends and family, especially when you only get one opportunity a season to do that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, and there's been a lot of unfortunate things that have happened this year.
That's what I was going to say. Is Daniel Sprong also missed the game, got hurt in warm-ups, or at least aggravated injury in warm-ups. Nick Dowd is back, but also Nick is still out. The injury bug's starting to catch up to this team a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It's the Michael Neuvirth special with getting injured in warm-up right before the game. It sucks when that happens. It's like the jinx you always worry about when a guy is going to play his 1,000th game, that they don't get hurt in warm-up or right before the game playing soccer or something like that. And it's unfortunate when that happens to guys. But yeah, these are it seems like they're kind of nagging injuries. And so, I guess there's a couple different ways you can go about it, where you try and battle back as fast as you can to get in the lineup for your team, or you take the slow approach and make sure that it doesn't come back. But that's never really guaranteed either. There's still something that can always creep in. So it's just too bad that they're having to deal with this in a season where the schedule is fairly compact because of the Olympic break coming up. So it's going to be a grind, and luckily they have some guys that they can call on if they need it, but you don't really want to have to tap into that this early.
I'm assuming because you call it the Michael Neuvirth special, not the Karl Alzner special, that this never happened to you.
I don't think I ever got hurt in warm up. I got hurt one time in pregame skate. I strained an oblique taking one timers. My one timer's feeling good, so I just kept snapping them, getting passes back to me, back to me. I just kept roofing these things. The next thing you know, there goes my oblique in Columbus. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is going to be a tough one, but never actually in warm up itself. I always had to be paying close attention to like guys like Biggs, because Biggs would be flying around out there and you didn't want to run into him, because if you fall down in warm up, it's a fine, or I guess we call, you put money on the board. So yeah, if you fall in warm up, you have to put $50 on the board for the game. So you always wanted to be careful, especially when you had someone like Biggs running around out there. So I was always keeping to myself, never took any really really hard shots, a few hard strides, but not many, and stay off to the side. So yeah, I was pretty safe in warm up.
Was that a Capitals thing, or is that every NHL team thing on falling in warm ups?
That's an every NHL team thing. And I'm pretty sure I haven't heard of a team that doesn't do it. So it's hilarious. Like if you see someone go down in warm up, if you pay close attention, you'll see a bunch of guys smiling and laughing because they know what that means. And in Washington, there's a couple funny things that guys do. Actually, Mathieu Perreault was one of the guys that was big into it, but a bunch of guys will whistle. Like I've always been so jealous of guys that can whistle without like using their fingers. They can just do it with their tongue or whatever. And so you'll hear a bunch of those kind of whistles happening when somebody does something like that. You just know right away. That's 50 right there. So it's one of the fun traditions that we have.
So one of the things everybody I see a lot of the writers I know seem to get worried after the Taylor Hall thing about guys who go without the bucket in warm ups. You always wear a helmet warm up, right?
Yeah, so there's a few kind of unwritten rules as well, and some guys follow them, some don't. But typically, you want to have at least a few years under your belt before you start going no helmet and warm up. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's like a respect thing, I guess, or just the way that it's always been. So I never did it, and I always joked around too that. So it's another thing when you get to the hotel, it's usually all the veterans that will go first in the elevator and go up to their room. So like the rookies, the younger guys, they just wait their turn until most of the older guys are up, and then you get in the elevator. And sometimes guys will mess around. Like if you'll see, say, a second or third year guy go in the elevator pretty early, and a 7-year guy hasn't got in yet, you'll stand right by the door and you'll just yell, "Hey, go ahead, so and so," and then next thing you know, that guy, you see the head just go down, or they'll try and get out of there as fast as they can. And so it's the same kind of thing. There's just these little I guess unwritten rules, and one of them is the helmet and warm up. And so I always said it was the same thing for the elevator, that I wasn't going to take the first elevator until I had played 10 years. And so I was going to be the same thing with my helmet. I was going to start going no helmet and warm up at 10 years. But when I got to Montreal has a rule where no one's allowed to wear no helmet and warm up. And that's, I think it was some insurance thing. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, we never could. So I never had that opportunity. We did it a few times when the whole team would do it as like a whatever special day, we'd wear a hat or something like that, or everyone was just, for whatever reason, not wearing a helmet that day. But yeah, it's a risk sometimes because guys are shooting them high and hard off the post, off the bar, and if you skate too close to the net, you're always worried that you're going to get one off the dome. And so it's a worry, but hey, it's one of the cool things about the sport is you get to go no bucket and warm up. It's what you dream about in juniors, is having that chance and seeing guys flow in the wind there. And yeah, it's kind of a neat thing to do, but I don't think you should do it unless you're an older guy.
Didn't you have that a few times with the toques in the outdoor games?
Yeah, so the outdoor games, that's one of them where you do something special like that, where everybody wears a toque. You do like the military nights where all the guys will wear the camo hats, right, or something like that. So those are fun, and that's when everybody gets to do it, or you recommend that everybody does it. And for the most part, I think everybody does. So it's fun. I enjoy it, but you do skate around a little bit more gingerly when you're out there without a helmet. You're kind of like, I better not fall. I'm careful for my pivots, all that stuff. So it's weird. The guys that do it regularly, it's cool that they do that.
Well, I went skating in Pentagon Row last week. Obviously, I'm not wearing a helmet. I'm just skating out there. And it was my first time on the ice in 23 months, so I had to make sure I wasn't falling anywhere.
Exactly. I know. That's like a nightmare to be out just public skate or whatever, even on rollerblades, and you toe pick, and and go down in front of everybody and actually hurt yourself. So yeah, you gotta be careful. I've been skating a little bit now. I'm not wearing shoulder pads, but one of the things I'll always wear is elbow pads. So falling on your elbow is one of the worst things, and oh my god, I hated it during my career. I pretty much the entire season, my elbows would be black and blue just from, you get tripped, you fall, hit your elbow, or you get hit into the boards, and your elbow pads just slide down a little bit and they hit the boards. Oh, it was painful. I couldn't even lay on them. And so I'm so happy now not having to worry about that jelbo anymore and just kind of live my life.
Yeah, let's not have you like break an elbow or anything in your training skates now, please.
Yeah, imagine that. Every time I leave to go skate now, Mandy, she's like, try not to get hurt today. And I'm like, that would be something if I went out there and hurt myself in these. But it does happen. You don't train the body as much as you normally do. It happens whenever you're a little bit rusty.
Yeah, well, you were durable in your NHL career. Let's not jinx anything after your career's over here. We'll be back next segment. We're going to talk to old friend, now Canadiens forward Mathieu Perreault here on All's Caps. Welcome back to All's Caps. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner, and we are joined by former Capitals forward, now Canadiens forward Mathieu Perreault. Mathieu, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to set Karl up for a bunch of these questions, but must be fun for you playing for the Canadiens at this part of your career. I know it's been only 8 games this season, but kind of what's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, like it's been awesome, honestly. Just this summer, not to really having to move. I spent all my summers here back home in Quebec, so now I have 3 kids at the age of 4 and 5 years old. It was just the best kind of case scenario for me. So obviously my favorite team growing up as well. So it made for an easy decision for me.
It's tough though. You got just hearing guys talk about it, going home to play in your hometown, having your friends and family there all the time, distractions. And I know what it's like to get tickets in Montreal too to games. It's not easy. Should try to get a few tickets in a row too. And Flower tries to work his magic. Flower's a team service guy there, but it's one of those buildings that's tough. And I know, like Wino said, you've unfortunately been out with some injury, and you've only had a chance to play in 8 games. But what's that been like, trying to balance getting family to the game and friends to the game? Have they been trying to get out as much as possible? And what have you been doing with that?
Yeah, honestly, so far so good. Like you said, I've missed a bunch of games, but the games that I played, I was able to get tickets for my family at least. And when it comes to like the friends and stuff like that, they kind of get their own tickets. But like you say, getting tickets here in Montreal is not the easiest thing. We're pretty much sold out every game, especially on the weekends, like the Saturday night games is really hard to get tickets. But lucky enough, I was able to get my wife, get my kids in there, my parents. So they got to enjoy a few games. And obviously I had the one game at home that I was able to get a hat trick, and we won against Detroit. That was a special night, and I had friends and family there, so that was really cool.
I know we'd all rather you be playing, but have you gotten a chance to have the Bell Center hot dogs while not playing?
I have, yes. They're available for us downstairs when you're not playing, watching the game. So I've cheated once. So this year, I think I was with actually Drouin, and he went and got some hot dogs, and he asked me, "Hey, you want a couple?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, man. Can't say no to that." So it's hard to resist for sure.
The All's Caps podcast is very much in favor of these hot dogs.
Yeah.
Love it.
In the player or the wives lounge, we call it family lounge. Yeah. There's a couple guys that have worked there for like 40 years. They've been there forever, and you go in there and after the game, you just kind of throw your order in. What kind of hot dog do you want? What do you want on it? And they just start cooking these things up for you. And so this is actually really funny. So, and
nice.
Pete, you'd like this too, because it was, so when I was there and I wasn't playing and I was getting scratched a bunch, I would start to go into the family lounge by the second intermission, because at that point, I mean, it didn't really matter. And I would go in there and I'd start asking the guys for a coffee. They knew what that meant. They would give me a coffee cup with a Coors Light poured in it. And that was my order. in the second intermission, I was getting coffee, Coors Lights, and those guys are beauties. You always love the people that are working around the rink, because they always looking out for you too. So it's kind of kind of one of those things.
That's awesome. Yeah, this year at the family lounge is kind of since with COVID they keep it pretty not really accessible for families and stuff. So it's changed for sure since you were there probably. But I get those coffee cups with Coors Lights with the guys in the lounge in the room actually this year. So
It's
if you win the game, you can get one of those. Yeah.
The closest thing we have comparison to that is there's a Chinese food place in Chinatown, not far from Capital One Arena, where after 3:00 when they can't sell alcohol anymore, there's a Chinese place that you ask for cold tea and they put Coors Light into basically teacups, and so you're drinking as long as you want because of that.
There you go.
And it looks just like tea too. It's funny though, like it. You know, everyone thinks that we're just like well-oiled machines, you know, like doing stuff at the rink all the right way. But it's funny, like I never played one single game in Montreal as a visitor without having at least one hot dog before the game.
Yeah.
And then going back to even when we were in Hershey and Beaker, the trainer there, would always have chocolate or Timbits or whatever it was. And you're eating donuts and stuff before the game, and then you go out there to play it. It's just kind of funny, you know, like we kind of do what we need to do. But I wanted to just quickly bring this back a little bit because one of my best memories in hockey, looking back on it now, was the formation of the Chums. And the Chums, we owe it all to you and to Boosh pretty much. And I just I've tried to explain it a little bit before in the past, but I want to get your memory of that and kind of what your favorite things about that were.
Yeah, I mean, it started in Hershey. Obviously those 2 years that we won the Calder Cup there were looking back, like two of my best years of my life, really. And that was when I was with you, and it was Beegs and Carly, me and Butch. You know, that's just what we call it in French. You know, a chum is like, you know, your closest friend, the guys you know your best friend. So us five together, you know, we had some good times, you know. And when we moved up to Washington, we had the four of us. Butch never made it, but it was me, you, Beegs, and Carly. You know, it kind of this is gonna stick for a lifetime. You know, so we're chums forever because you know we shared this special bond that we had in Washington, and especially in Hershey. You know, winning those championships. So this is pretty cool.
So Wino, there's another nickname that P has, and maybe he can explain it to us a little bit how he got it. But if he doesn't remember, I can remember for sure. But it was all about becoming the little dog. And that happened when he started getting his first couple call-ups with the Caps. And the crew of guys that he would hang out with. And we were always so jealous because we're all trying to make it, right? And we all want to be part of the gang. And P, do you remember how you became the little dog who you hanging out with that gave you that nickname?
Yeah, that was Jose Theodore that gave me that name. So I just get called up, so I don't know really anybody on the team yet, and he's the only other French guy on the team. So we go on the first road trip, and he just comes up to me and he's like, "Hey kid, you're coming with me." So me just like, "All right, man, no, whatever. I'll do whatever you want." So he's like, "Let's go." So I started going to dinner with him, and he was hanging out with Ovi, Semin, Backstrom, Green, you know, like the big dogs on the team really at the time. Like they were, you know, the guys that were, you know, carrying the team and stuff. So they're the big dogs, and I just started hanging out with them because Jose took me under his wing, and he's like, "Let's go." So after a few weeks hanging out with the big dogs, it came into the room that, you know, Jose was calling me out like, "Yeah, he's just a little dog hanging out with the big dogs," and I just stuck around. And then even to this day, you know, I'll run into like guys that I played with, and they'll still call me little dog. So it's pretty funny.
They stick, Wino, just like that. You get one person that comes up with something good, and you got it for life.
Yeah, I like those rather than just the generic nicknames and ones that have the stories behind them. Matthew, my favorite part of these is asking our guests for their best Karl Alzner stories. And now that he's not playing anymore, I think you might be able to tell a story that's not just he's a great guy.
I mean, he is a great guy.
We know that. That's not the concern.
I mean, I gotta try to think of a story. I mean, we had some really good time together, but like one really good story, honestly, for me, like one of the really good memory that I have with Alzy is going to his wedding in Vancouver. I remember going there with my wife and just showing up there to the evening, the happening, and it was. I remember the fun that we had that night. Dancing all night under the music, and just having literally one of the best time of our life. So I mean, it's not a crazy story, but this is one of my best memories that I have with Aussie for sure.
That was a time when we wish we would have had an ISO cam. We wish we'd have had someone filming the night. Because if
Yes.
you want to have a good dance party at a wedding, and I'm sure there's lots of people that have good dance parties, but you get a group of hockey players at a wedding that majority of them cannot dance, but just love having a great time. Like my buddies from school still talk about it to this day. Like how crazy all the guys were just getting out on the dance floor, so much sweat happening, glasses being smashed on the floor, and everyone's still going at it. It's just,
I ripped in my suit pants too, like going down. Yeah,
absolutely.
It was open bar, right, Karl?
Oh, of course it was open bar.
Absolutely.
Open bar, open candy bar. Everything was open. I didn't want the guys to have to worry about anything, so go ahead and have a good time.
Yeah, that was a great time.
It's still wacky to me realizing all the times in the locker room. You guys were together, and like we were all kind of young. I was young covering the league. You guys were young playing in the league, and now we're sitting here talking like this is an old war from a decade ago.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I was thinking about it last night too, and it's unfortunate that you forget so many things that have happened along the way. Like I've been kicking myself for not writing down more stuff that's happened, but something that came to me yesterday when I was just looking around the internet and thinking back on it now is one of the funnier things. But me and you went through a little phase doing celebrations on the bench for shootout winning goals, and yours got caught on camera a couple times. If anybody listening right now, you got to go and Google the Mathieu Perreault bench celebrations, because it's one of the funniest. And I swear, you got to bring this back. Bring it to Montreal. It's gonna blow up, dude. Give us a few more of the whole full body cutters, because they were hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. That was in Buffalo, and we wanted to shoot out. I think that night. We started doing that for maybe a couple games, and I just went like really hard and crazy at it, and then just got cut on camera. But that just shows how much of a good time we had, back then. Like we were winning so many games too, and when we were there in Wash, like we had such a great team, so like it was so much fun.
Exactly.
I just watched the video of this, and I don't remember this happening at the time.
It started catching a little bit of fire, and I think we all kind of got nervous that we were going to get in trouble for like doing this on the bench with the team. So I think we shut it down after, I don't know, we did like three games in a row, maybe 3 or 4 games, and then we're just like, okay, let's stop this, because I saw him getting caught on camera doing it, so I'm like, I don't want to get caught on camera doing it, so let's stop this right now. But that was, I mean, and so this is part of the thing though too, is like playing in Washington is you can get away with some of these things, and now you being in Montreal, it's it's a little different. There's so much more spotlight, and if you were to do it one game after a win, you're hilarious and everyone likes it, and then next thing you know, the team starts going downhill a little bit, and it can turn sideways. And I don't think things for the team haven't been ideal right now, but like in the end, still playing in Montreal, being a Hab fan growing up, it's regardless of if the team's playing good or playing bad, does it still feel like a dream, or does it feel like because things aren't going great right now, is it kind of like I wish I was experiencing this under different circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, what it is, like when the team is not doing well, like it's really hard to enjoy yourself going to work, going to the rink, so it's it is what it is. Like it's something that I never really gone through in my career, because I was lucky enough to always play on teams that were doing well early in the season, and being a playoff team. So it's hard right now to really fully enjoy what Montreal could potentially be, because in this city, if you do have success, it's the best. I think it's one of the best places in the world to play, because it's the fans are so passionate and stuff. So obviously it's still early in the season. It's been great so far. I mean, other than that, the fact that we're not winning, like everything else around it, for me and my family, it's been awesome. But now, I'm just hoping that I can recover here soon and come in and maybe help the team turn things around, and so we can actually enjoy ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah, okay, we're getting a couple hatties out of you here. Wino, do you have anything else you want to ask Pierre?
No,
Should I hit with
no.
these?
Let's take a break real quick, and then we're going to come back with Karl's stupid questions. We'll we'll,
Right.
we'll, we'll be right back on All's Caps. Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner, former Capitals forward Mathieu Perreault. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, and we get to Karl's favorite part of the show, Karl's stupid questions now.
Yeah, P. So the way that it works is I'm going to ask you 6 questions here. They are, very little to do with hockey, just for fun. I'll give you a score at the end, and that I make up. See how you do. Steve Alexi is first place right now with a pretty solid score of 101. So good luck to you. It's all based on how good your answers are, but we want.
Okay.
So hit me with question number 1. If you were a DJ, what would your DJ name be?
DJ Little Dog, obviously.
I was hoping that's what you were going to go. It was the right answer. That was the right answer. And would you be spinning what do you call it? I guess house music, or I don't even know what they call it, EDM, or would you be doing hip hop? What kind of DJing you doing?
Yeah, I'd be in the house music, deep house music, and starting it slow and ramp it up probably with some more maybe EDM later on,
It reminds me of you pretending you always had your headphone on, fake headphone, putting in the car. All right. Okay, so leads me into the next one here. Karaoke night. Which song are you picking for karaoke?
Chicken Fried. Chicken Fried. Is that the right thing? Yeah, hello. I like that song, and I play in my car, and I can probably sing it to you right now. I know it, all the words, and this would be my best song for sure.
Amazing. Okay, so this I always love this. Like playing with guys that English is their second language, hearing them talk and tell jokes, it's always so much funnier. So still, even though you've played in English speaking places your entire career, what English word do you struggle with saying, or is there one?
There's words like sometimes I'll put H's when there's not, and I'll forget to pronounce them. So like, I don't know, like I'll say like a elbow when I want to say elbow. Like that happens all the time. Like, so I really struggle with my H's for sure.
Elbow. So
yeah, or like a tree, I'd say like tree instead of like 3 for the number tree.
yeah. So
you probably heard me say it many times.
All tons of times. It reminds me too, like when people who are Swedish guys, usually they pronounce their J's as Y's, and so Backy would always he was playing cards or whatever, and instead of calling it a jack, he'd call it a yak. Call it a jackass, and it would be so fun.
Yeah.
That's something we take for granted, knowing this language, I guess. Okay, so I little superstitious. I know
a little, a
little, and I know that everybody has a few things. Little dog, what pregame ritual could you not live without? Because I've seen some of yours. I know what you do. I know that you like to do the little glide across the red line right before the game starts, before the anthem or whatever it is. Of your rituals, which ones could you not live without? You had to do it before every game.
Wow, that's a good question, because I don't have many. Like you said, the one to slide on the red line, that's a given for sure. I always do it. In the room before I would go on the ice, like I just kind of get in the middle of the room, and I'll do like a little bit of a stretch in the middle of the room that I do. But I don't have anything crazy for you, so that's about it. Yeah, I'm not that. Keep it pretty simple.
Keep it simple. Well, Wine, also what I was saying with his ritual that he does, and anybody who's watching him play can keep a close eye on it now, because I love to point these things out. I don't know where you start or how early it starts, but like you'll see him kind of 2 foot just glide right along the red line, and even if there's a ref there, he'll be dodging the ref, trying to stay on that line as best as possible. And it's just one of those things. Once you do something one time, and for whatever reason you play good, and there's just no getting out of it. So that's one of
I think you're the first guy that ever brings that up to me. I honestly don't know if anybody else knows that. Like, I'm pretty impressed that you actually noticed that. What I'll do is I'll try to get both of my feet on the circle, like the dot, like the center dot.
There you go.
So like I'll go around, but then my 2 feet has to touch the center dot.
Every Canadians fan listening will now notice this every time you play.
Yeah, because this is once we jump back on the ice after warm up before the anthem. So I'll go for one hard lap, and then coming back, I'll loop the other way and then just get both feet on that dot. So pretty impressed that you actually noticed that.
Well, I had something like that too. I had to do the exact same, like put my helmet on the same way after the anthem. I had to do like a little squat in the corner and then quick feet around one circle and then a tight turn around the other. So those are things I always wanted to see what other guys do. Like you remember Big Ersk, like Ersk had a ton. So always paying attention to what guys are up to. Maybe it made me feel better about the ones that I had to do.
Yeah, Ersk was pretty crazy with the water bottle, wasn't he? Like on the bench, like he would stack them, like he'd always have to like have a water and then a Gatorade and the water. Isn't that?
Yeah, exactly. And so Erskine would be a great guy to talk to about this because and the water bottles and the Gatorade could never be on their side. So guys a lot of times would just take a swig and then throw it back in the trough there, and Erskine would have to stand them all back up perfectly. And then Carly would come by, and Erskine would have just stacked all of them up perfectly, and Carly would come by with his stick and just knock them all over. Yeah, it was too funny. Okay, so then the last one I have for you here. In your opinion, the 3 best players in the game right now, not named McDavid and Crosby.
McKinnon,
yeah,
for sure. And then I would go with Kucherov in Tampa. I mean, 2 pretty special players. And I want to put a defenseman. I want to say that McCarr in Colorado. He is nasty. Like when I was in Winnipeg, like the 1 year, like his rookie year, I think that like the highlight clip they made of him, like when he won he won the rookie of the year maybe, or
yep.
I was on there. Like he literally faked me out so hard that I fell on my back and he just roofed it. Okay, this kid is something else.
You're not gonna be the only one he's fakes out and makes look silly over the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. It takes some serious balls to try and put moves on guys as the last guy back on the blue line. So the fact that he's able to do that is pretty impressive. Reminds me of Brady a little bit. All right, that's a 6 for you. Just tallying this up really quick here, and we got you at 95 points. P.
Not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. I had to give you a little minus because just the stretch in the room. I needed some more juice on that one. But 95 puts you in second place, so congrats.
Not bad, yeah, thanks.
And Karl, we're gonna bring John Erskine on and do superstition talk at some point too, I'm sure.
I hope so. Erskine would be a blast to have on.
But Matthew, hopefully have you back on the ice very soon. Hopefully be playing in DC very soon. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thanks guys. That was fun. No problem.
That'll do it for this episode of All's Caps. For Karl Alzner and Mathieu Perreault, I'm Steve Wino. Talk to you next time.